Okay. Hello, everybody. I was hoping I could see who's actually in here, but it's not allowing me to see that. It's my first time doing a live on YouTube, so welcome everybody that's currently watching. I've got some learning to do as I figure out how to make this a fun experience for myself and for the viewers. Can everyone hear me okay? That's kind of my main concern because I feel like you can see me, but if someone could put in the chat that they can hear me, that would be great. Okay. Got a few people joining here. Welcome, welcome. Can everyone hear me? I'm hoping so. No one's confirming or not. Joshua Grant. What's going on, my friend? Welcome. Got Black Burr in the house. Hello, hello. Brianna Dickerson. That name looks familiar. Glad that she can hear me as well. All right, welcome everybody. This is like I was saying a second ago, the first live stream for Freaky Tall Reviews, and so this is every time people watch me, they get to see me as I've already recorded something and not actually get to know me and who I am and what's behind the channel. So that's kind of the goal today. So today, just wanted to kind of chat through a couple of things that are going to be happening with the channel going into this next year, and then answer any questions. And so feel free to put questions into the chat. If anyone is curious about anything specifically, I'm happy to dive into more detail and go from there. Okay, so one of the big reasons that we're doing a live stream today, because this is not typically my channel's format, is that I am working on joining the YouTube Partner Program, and to do that, you have to have 1,000 subscribers, which I hit earlier this year, and then you have to have 4,000 watch hours, and so you have to have people consume 4,000 hours of your content in the last 12 months, and that has to be the average, and so. I'm right on the cusp, right there. As more and more people watch my content, the closer and closer I get to that mark. But everything prior to 12 months ago is now falling off of that average. And so, in my content, like how much I've started releasing is not once a week right now. So it's slowed down a bit, and I'm having a tough time keeping up with the demand to get to that point. Black Burr, are you married? I am married. I've been married for a little over 7 years now, and I've been with my wife for a little over 11 years. Yeah. And in case anyone's curious, she is not big and tall. She's a normal sized person. Okay. I've been getting a lot of questions, not in the chat right now, but I've been getting a lot of questions about my preference between the AK Racing Pro chair and the Secret Lab Titan XL that I just reviewed. So I'm sure that as more people join the chat, I might have another person hop in and ask about that. But so far, I am currently sitting in the Secret Lab chair, as you can see from the pillow right here. Do you hear about Sora? No. What is Sora? Blackbird, do you hear about Sora? No. Enlighten me. I feel like this might be leading into a joke or something, but it could be something like that I should know about and I don't. Oh, Super Smash Brothers. Absolutely, I do play that. I think someone asked me whenever I reviewed the Switch Pro controller if I play Super Smash Brothers. Was that you from a few months ago? Gotcha. Sora's a new character coming out in a DLC. That's cool. No, I haven't been up to date on that. If I had to choose from the current Smash Brothers one character to play, it'd probably be Zero Suit Samus. That's probably my favorite one to play currently. Yeah. So on the chair thing, though, for those that are interested in seeing the thoughts between the difference of the AK Racing Pro Chair and the Secret Lab Titan XL, I will be doing a follow up video in a few weeks, just giving my overall thoughts and feedback on using the Secret Lab chair for a while, and then I will do a small comparison between the two in that video. You like Sonic? You're a brave person for liking Sonic, because I know it's not an easy character to play. Not a lot of range on Sonic. Excuse me. What made you start this channel? So, in the pandemic, 2020, March, I was furloughed from my job for a month and a half. And it was the first time in pretty much my entire life where I didn't have to worry about school or football or work in any capacity. I was just kind of hanging out, and I'd not had that chance to slow down in a long time. And so I started thinking about, okay, what do I really want to do? With life. And I'm a professional recruiter for different companies. That's my full-time gig. And so I kind of realized that I'm not sure if this is what I want to do forever. And so what can I do on the side that's a passion for me? And so I ended up thinking, okay, well, what about something related to big and tall? And so I started thinking, what if I started a sock company? And I started coming up with all these crazy names and ideas and sock designs. And I came up with the name Squatch Socks. And so feel free to take that and license it if anybody wants it, because I quickly determined that I don't know how to start up a retail company focused on big and tall socks. So I started thinking, what else can I do to contribute to the big and tall community? And for those of you just joining, I'm answering the question on what made me start this channel. And so my entire life, I've always been a head taller than everyone else. And so, hey, Alex Bellini, I see you there. I've got a couple more questions in the chat I'll answer in a second. But my entire life, I've always been taller than everyone else, a good head taller. And it's always been hard to find products, not just clothing, but any type of product that fits my size. And so being 6'10" and 350 pounds, it's definitely not easy finding things that fit both the big and the tall world. And so during the pandemic, I was thinking, how can I give back to the big and tall community and provide value for other people that have the same struggles that I do? And I love watching YouTube video reviews. I will watch, if I spend more than $20 on something, I will watch 18 hours of videos on that one product just to make sure it's worth spending my money on. And then I realized no one does this for tall people. Like, how do you find how do you find products for tall people? And there's not anyone that actually goes over that. And so I was like, well, maybe I can start a channel reviewing products for tall people. And so that's kind of a really long answer to a simple question, but it kind of, my whole life was leading up to this point. And I realized, and then I found that I really like content creating, and it's just kind of snowballed to the point where this channel's found a pretty good amount of success so far. And I think it's got a lot more to grow. I really do. So that's what made me start the channel. The next question in the chat, though, there, excuse me, what reviews am I working on? So I've got a lot in the works right now, and I'm very behind because I went from, when I first started this channel, I released videos twice a week. And that was before I knew what I was doing with camera work and before I knew how to really edit. And so I could pop these videos out a lot quicker. But now that I put a lot more time and effort into these videos, it's really taken a long time to get more and more videos out consistently. So then I went down to once a week, and now I'm doing like once a month. And so channel videos that are in the works right now, you might see right here, I've got some sunglasses hanging from a string. Just bear with me as that video comes out. You'll see why they're hanging from a string. There's a couple people in the chat that probably know why, but you'll see that soon. But I've found some sunglasses that are really good for a big head. And so that's a video that I'm currently working on. I've got actually right here, this probably looks a little strange, but this is a grip strengthener for your hand. I found one at Walmart for a couple bucks, and I was like, oh, this is really nice. It's like a rubber donut thing. And I was like, I wonder if they have a bigger version of this. And so I found this on Amazon, and it fits a really big hand really well. And they've got 3 different strengths. And so I'll be reviewing this pretty soon for big hands. I found a fantastic shovel that's good for tall people. And it has really big foot areas so that you can press down with your big feet. I wear size 18. And so I'll be reviewing that pretty soon. So I've got probably, I don't know, 30 products after that I plan on reviewing. Part of it's just been time and money to get the products. But you know, as the channel starts gaining traction financially, I'll be able to start getting more products to review. Black Burr, what sport did you play growing up? So I've been playing sports most of my life, and I played a mixture of basketball and baseball, and then eventually football. And so I kind of played a little bit of everything, and I was also involved in a lot of outside of sports stuff like journalism and band and things like that. But ended up finding that football was kind of where my future was, and so I played football for about 10 years, throughout high school into the college level, and had a really good time doing it. So my size came in handy doing that. Alex Bellini, your videos look sick. You've come a long way. Who helped you with your channel? So everyone, Alex Bellini has actually been a big contributor to my success with this channel. He is someone that is miles ahead of me in the videography department, and so anytime you see decent lighting in my videos, and just overall better quality of presentation, Alex has probably had a hand in it. So he's been a huge asset to me and helping with that. And he's actually got a YouTube channel. So Alex, put in the chat what your channel is. I can't remember the title of it, but everybody be sure to check out Alex's channel. But he's helped me tremendously. So thank you for that, sir. It's been a long road. If you go back to some of the earlier videos, you can see that they started pretty rough, very rough actually, compared to where they're at now. Let's see. Joshua Grant. I'm looking for an office chair to fit full figured boys, but that chair wouldn't exactly go with what I have in mind for an office. Have you run across similar, more traditional looking chairs? Yes. So I actually just recently reviewed the Lazy Boy Big and Tall Executive Chair, and I actually still have it. And so if you go back a couple of weeks ago, I reviewed that chair, and it's a pretty solid standard office chair. I found that it was probably a little small for my size, you know, being I sit pretty wide because I'm both big and tall, and so you know, it's a good chair. It's a good quality. Is it worth the brand new price tag? It sits about $500. I don't know about that. I got it at an outlet for like $200, which at that price point, absolutely worth it. And so I got that chair. And then if you really want a game changer as a big and tall person, this is one of my favorite products that I've reviewed this year. These little wheels right here. That is one of the best things you can put on an office chair. They hold higher weight capacities. They usually increase the height of the chair by an inch, and they just roll way easier. But yeah, so the Lazy Boy Executive Big and Tall chair is a pretty solid one. If you're not worried about budget, Herman Miller Aeron chairs are supposed to be really, really good. I don't have my hands on one yet. I will review one. But that's supposed to be really, really good ergonomically for big and tall. But then you're getting $1,000+ so definitely makes it tough. But it's definitely something I plan on expanding on. I've done 3 chairs so far, and I plan on looking for more. Just saw that Black Burr had to go back to work. Thank you for stopping by, my friend, if you're still here, and I appreciate the questions. Oh, okay, everybody. Alex Bellini's channel is just Alex Bellini on YouTube. So very, very original there. Would love to collaborate on something, man. That'd be really cool. You have to teach me a few things. All right. Well, I've been doing a lot of talking. So if anybody is new and just joined, we're just kind of chatting about the history of the channel and products that I'm reviewing. Just list your question in the chat there, and I'll be sure to go over it. But this is a good opportunity to get to know each other outside of just releasing videos. So I should probably have some music going or something to break the awkward silences whenever I'm not talking. Live sessions are so weird because you're the only one talking. It's not it's kind of a conversation, but I'm the only one talking, so it's strange. Back on the question earlier about upcoming video reviews, many of you are probably aware that I released I started the Freaky Tech Reviews channel a couple of months ago, and that's something I plan on expanding on even more. I found a really awesome grip for the Nintendo Switch that's really great for big hands, so I'll be reviewing that pretty soon. And then I also review things to see if they'll still work for big and tall people, because not everything will, even if it's just a normal product. So I'm not always looking for just big and tall focused products. I'm also looking for regular products to see how they work for big and tall. Um, and so, for instance, I picked up one of the new MacBooks. I think it's a 13-inch MacBook Air, and just I was curious whenever I was buying it on will this work for someone who's really big if it's this tiny little laptop, and so I want to review that and provide that for people who may be wondering the same. So, to Alex Bellini, what gear do you use? So my main camera, oh, excuse me, knocked over a can there. My main camera is the Canon EOS R. And so this is my main shot right here. Whenever you're seeing me do a talking headshot, this is the main camera, and then my top down shot is my old main camera, and that is a Canon M50 here. So, and then I've got a lot of other side gear that you don't really, aren't as noticeable. Like I have this Zapon Micro Slider 2 for some of the smooth cinematic shots. If you go back and you look at some of the more cinematic or product shots from this chair, that was the first video I actually used a slider on, and so you can see what kind of quality that's brought to the channel. I use the Ronin S2 gimbal here. Actually, speaking of gear, I think Alex is already aware of this one, but speaking of gear, this is my new backdrop system. I have a neutral gray background, so I can change the color to whatever I want. And then I have a green, like a green screen. And then I have just a black background. So a lot of the product shots that I'll be doing pretty soon are going to look quite a bit better. Now as I have improved backgrounds and lighting and things like that. Let's see. What would you like to review that you don't have plans to review right now? That's a good question. So I've got a lot of stuff in the pipeline of things that I want to review. The number one thing that I can think of off the top of my head, I've been talking to the company and they haven't been very responsive. And that's part of being a small YouTube channel, is that people aren't as interested in working with you. But as I gain traction, it's easier to get these companies to send me something to review. AMOK Equipment, AMOK, is a camping company based out of Norway. And so I've talked to them a couple times, but they're just not interested yet. But they have this, it is a tent hammock that fits people up to 7 foot tall. And I think it has a weight capacity of like 500 or 600 pounds. And so the way that it works is, if you think of a traditional hammock, instead of having where you sit like curved where it hurts your lower back, it actually has a flat pad where it you can lay on your side or on your stomach or back or however you want to sleep. So it's very comfortable. It accommodates people that are my size very easily, and it gets you up off the ground. Because not only when you camp, you usually sleep pretty hot as a bigger and taller person, at least I do. So when you're off the ground, it helps keep you cool. But then it also has like a bug net and a rain cover and things like that. And so that is a product that it's on my wish list to review, and I can't wait to bring it to the channel. Because I think a lot of people are interested in hiking products and outdoor products from a big and tall perspective. And so my sights are set on that. That's for sure. So let's see. Brianna just stole Josh's question. Let's see. Alex Bellini, what's the one company you look up to as far as big and tall stuff? So I did recently release a video on Duluth and why it's not my favorite place to shop as a big and tall person. Any of the big and tall places that I really like are typically going to be e-com stores that are only online. I've had a lot of success with American Tall. This shirt is actually from American Tall. The only problem I have is that their products typically run a bit slim. And so they released another line called Long John and Sons. Their Long John and Sons products are fantastic, really good quality, and they fit that kind of huskier frame really well. So I really like those products. The Winston box, you've seen a ton of those come through, can be hit or miss sometimes, but I found that I really love their shirts. Their shirts are fantastic, and I like the designs quite a bit. I've had some pants that I wasn't quite the biggest fan of, but they do fit because they partner with Cutter and Buck, which is a brand that does a lot of big and tall clothing really well. And so I found that when Winston box includes Cutter and Buck, I really like that. But the Winston box, they have their own brand, and then they have Cutter and Buck they partner with. But when the Winston box does their own shirts, I found that their shirts are very nice. And then Kingsize.com. That was kind of a hidden gem that I found that has really cheap big and tall clothing. Not the greatest quality, but the fit is really good and it's really cheap. I got a robe for like 40 bucks. That is the biggest robe I've ever come across. And so I did a video on it. So those are probably the top three: American Tall, Slash, Long John and Sons, Winston Box, and kingsize.com. So, Mark Birdwell, what kind of video camera do you use? I was just going through that a second ago. I use the Canon EOS R as my main camera, and then I use the Canon M50 as my overhead shot and sometimes my secondary angle. And then a lot of times, if you follow me on Instagram or any of my social medias, just the iPhone 11 Pro Max I use for a lot of my camera work because this thing takes amazing pictures. And so between those three things, it usually provides pretty good quality gear for me to use. So let's see. All right. I think we're rocking and rolling. We've had a pretty good turnout tonight. Thank you everybody for joining. And let's see what else. What else can we answer? David Moritz, I have no idea how spell check turned height into height. Who spelled that? Who spelled height wrong? Let's see. Is anybody? Let's see what else we got going on in the channel. So one thing I think people might be interested in, I have a couple different phases for the channel, and a lot of people don't really know this, but for Freaky Tall Reviews, reviewing products is actually just kind of the first part of the channel. That'll always be what the channel is predominantly about. But I do have a couple other phases that I'll be moving into. Some of them I won't share just yet because I want to keep it proprietary to the channel. But one of them that I'm actually going to be moving a little bit further into is actually interviewing people who are taller that are more well known. And so the first person that I've interviewed so far, Jordan Smith of the Elevated Closet, I interviewed her, and she has a fantastic small company out of Austin, Texas that focuses on clothing for tall women. And they're really affordable prices. So if you know any tall women that need a place to shop, the Elevated Closet is fantastic. But I interviewed her about her company and her brand and what what encouragement she would give to other tall girls who might be struggling with being a taller girl, because that's a lot tougher than being a tall guy, that's for sure. And so I plan on expanding this channel into interviewing tall people. And so that's going to take a good while till I get to, interview anyone that's like super famous or anything. But that's definitely a goal of the channel. David Moritz, so which affects you more in your life, your height or your weight? That is a good question. So I've had issues with both, to be honest. I mean, there was a stage production I did in high school where the chair collapsed under me just because I weighed too much and I was really big. So there's been times where simply because of the weight capacity, I couldn't enjoy things as much. But I found that height is probably more of a pain partly because with weight, you can lose weight. But when you're really, really tall, you can't lose that. And so if you're restricted from doing something because of your height, that you can't really do anything about that at all. And so I've gotten on in line for roller coasters and had to be, been told that I need to not ride the roller coaster because I'm too tall. They have a height restriction or a height limit, and that's really embarrassing when you wait in line for 45 minutes and then you have to walk back through the line and everyone's looking at you like, what's up with this guy? And so that's definitely a pain. And then this world is really designed for average height people. And so what you'll find is that a lot of the problems I have are actually pretty similar to a lot of the problems that short people have. Reaching things, down below things is similar in difficulty for a shorter person reaching high above for things. Whenever they sit in chairs like this, or like a normal size chair, for me, the chair is too small. For them, the chair might be too big. And so I would, in short, I would say that the height thing is probably the toughest thing when it comes to like between height and weight, which one of the things I struggle with the most on a daily basis. Joshua Grant, have you ever thought about reviewing cars? One problem I definitely have, especially when traveling, is picking a car that's comfy for my healthy build. And by healthy build, I definitely mean unhealthy. So I totally understand what you mean. I have reviewed one vehicle. It was my truck that I actually currently have. It's a 2020 Chevy Silverado, and so it actually fit really well. And I that is an area, speaking back to the question earlier about things that I want to review that I don't have plans for, vehicles, that is a big one because there's a lot of times where I go vehicle shopping and I don't want to deal with a salesman or just a salesperson. I just want to see online, hey, can I fit in this thing? And even if the specs look like they fit, you could have two vehicles with the same specs at the driver's seat, they could sit completely different. And so that's an area that I definitely want to expand into because if anybody that knows me personally knows that I'm obsessed with Teslas and I really want to get a Tesla. And so I have no idea if they'll fit or not. And now they have the Tesla Cybertruck coming out and all these electric trucks. And I'm like, well, I really want to sit in them to see how comfortable they are for a tall person. And I feel like a lot of people would be interested in that. And so my goal is to eventually maybe go there like to a car dealership and just start reviewing cars maybe by lineup, like maybe if I go review all the 2021 Chevys and all the 2021 Fords. And so as the channel grows, it'll be easier to go to a dealership and say, hey, here's a ton of free marketing for you, let me review your vehicles, but don't sell me a vehicle, right? Because I'm not going to buy. So yeah, that's an area that I definitely want to expand. All right. Next question. Will you be doing a follow up on products that you have already reviewed regarding how well they hold up? That's a really good point. I do plan on the Secret Lab chair that I just reviewed. I do plan on doing a follow up just to let people know my thoughts after using it for a few months because my initial thoughts on the chair are fantastic, but I've already found some things where I'm like, well, the audience needs to know that this is a problem before they purchase it. And so, um, but yeah, outside of that, I haven't really thought too much of doing that. So that's actually a really good idea. You might have just doubled my video workload here because I've got a lot of products that I need to do that with. So far, everything I've come across, I like to buy it once. Spend a little more and buy it once. And so I don't have a lot of issues with things breaking on me, but that's a good point. OFT crash. The back pain is real. It absolutely is. I started taking MSM recently, which is a very high powered glucosamine. And the one that I take is actually for horses, which I know sounds ridiculous, but it's actually helped a lot with back pain. So maybe check out MSM, but I'm not a doctor. So, look into that on your own and do your own research. But yeah, the back pain is definitely real. Tyler York, how do you find traveling? What do you have to think about whenever you do travel? So, yeah, there's a lot to that, and it depends on if you're traveling through vehicles or on air or things like that. Whenever I go on cruise ships, all of the hallways to the rooms are usually about 6'8". So the whole time my head is turned like this, the entire length of the hallway, and that's a real pain. And so. I mean, kind of to Josh's point earlier about rental vehicles, trying to make sure that you have an appropriate rental vehicle that will fit someone that's taller. Trying to make sure that the plane seating works. I fly Southwest mainly, and Southwest is kind of just an open floor plan of seating. And so you kind of just have to hope that you have a chance of getting one of the exit rows or something comfortable because the thing that a lot of people don't think about when you're really tall is that you don't even have to be super wide for the seat to be too narrow. And what I mean by that is that when you sit in the seat, your knees can't sit straight forward because of the seat in front of you. And so they have to splay out, right? They kind of have to spread apart. And then that widens how you're sitting. And so it makes those seats a lot narrower. And a lot of people don't even think about that because you haven't really experienced it. And so, whenever I go into like an airplane bathroom, it's usually about right here in height. So I'm like having to crunch down like this, and it's super uncomfortable. But there's a lot of things like that are a real pain. I could go on and on about travel. To be honest, there's a lot to it, and that's something that I plan on looking more into when it comes to reviewing maybe different airlines that are good for tall people and stuff like that. Sherry Luth, hey there, your favorite realtor here. Yes, you are. You are fantastic. Brother has extremely large feet, I think size 16. What size shoe do you wear? And do you have a preference on where to find overly large shoes? So I wear a size 18, but some brands I might run a little smaller and like a size 17. Zappos.com has been fantastic. That's one of my go-to shoe places because they have an amazing return policy, and they have really good options. But I've also found that Amazon actually has really solid shoe options as well. And you can go on Amazon, just put the size in, and see a lot of different options on there that it'll bring up for you. But there's actually more options for shoes and more options for shoes as a tall person than I would say there are for clothing. And so Zappos is really good. Sometimes if you go to the brand websites, they'll have bigger sizes. I like to wear Vans, and Vans have sizes that fit me very easily. So I would recommend going to the brand websites to see if they have those sizes. But yeah, Zappos is probably going to be your best bet. Twobigfeet.com is also a really good one. Um, I've got a couple more that I'm not thinking of right now. So let me think on those, and I'll get back to you on that. Um, OFT crash. I'm 6'6". I switched to VW and things improved a lot. I'm assuming you mean Volkswagen. I've never sat in one, so I don't know how well they actually fit or not. But I'd be curious to check that out. I'd be very interested. If anyone has any recommendations, I'm always curious about what what vehicles will work best for taller folks. And then Cherie. Oh, and how I think I said Sherry earlier. Sorry, I know it's Cherie. Um, and share how flying works for tall people in an aircraft. Curious about that. So yeah, a little bit. I was talking about that just a little bit earlier. Headroom is obviously a big issue when you go to the bathroom. Leg room is obviously the number one complaint, but then the how narrow the seats can be. International flights are very tough because you're on that plane for a super long time and you have nowhere to go. So, and then I'm trying to think of what else flying wise that's a real pain. Sometimes I've been in planes where I've had to be on the plane for 4 or 5 hours and I can't fully stand up the entire time. And so even whenever I stand up out of my seat to stretch a little bit, I'm still kind of constricted. So you never get to fully lengthen your body out, which can be a real pain. So yeah, so that's definitely a tough part of flying there. So these have been really great questions. I really appreciate the engagement here. So thank you everyone for joining, and feel free to shoot more there. I'm planning on being here until people don't want to talk to me anymore. So Tyler York, have you ever thought about doing a day in the life where the camera is at your eye level so people can understand? That is something I've thought about doing. It's hard to capture on camera. It's hard to whenever you watch a video from a camera on the head, it's really tough to know just how tall that the person is walking around. But I definitely want to do something like that because one thing I also want to capture is how often, as a tall person, you hear about your height, and so I want to really showcase that it's really hard to go anywhere without hearing about how tall you are. And to that, as tall people, we have to keep in mind that to that person, a lot of times it can kind of make their day, right? Because it's like, wow, that person is gigantic. Like any like the first time you see a massive ship or like a big building or something like that, you're like, wow, look at that thing, and it kind of catches you off guard, and it's amazing. I'm not saying that I'm amazing, but it's just a lot of times I think people, they lose some of their social awareness whenever they see something that's kind of a wow factor for them. And so I would like to get some footage of that because I've had some pretty interesting interactions, that's for sure. Yeah, Josh, forget about going to the bathroom on a plane. That's a major pain. That is definitely a major pain. David Moritz, so is your whole family all tall, or are you just the awesome one? Definitely probably the least awesome in the family. I'm pretty, mediocre, but in terms of height, I'm definitely the tallest. Tallest person besides me and my family is probably my dad, around 6'1", and I have a cousin up in the Northeast who's 6'1", and apparently from my Viking ancestry, I have someone who migrated here that was 6'7", but I don't have a lot of record of that. So I really don't know where my height comes from, to be honest. Because no one, like I said, is above 6'1", so 6'10" is weird. See, Brianna Dickerson, what do people in public say about her height? Kind of like I was saying earlier, I've had a lot of good interactions. I've had a lot of interesting ones and some that are not so pleasant. I find there occasionally is a lot of guys that want to showcase how tough they are by potentially fighting. I've never had to get into a fight or anything, but I've definitely had guys who it crossed their mind because I guess they felt like they needed to prove themselves. And then um, I've had people who were very forward with how much they liked my height. I had one lady tell me in line at a Nothing Bundt Cakes, which is a kind of a cupcake shop in Houston, that she wanted to climb me like a step ladder and take every step. So that was pretty uncomfortable. But I mean, I appreciate the compliment, I guess. So oh, and how so Cherie, how do kids react to my height? Um, Kids aren't so bad because they literally don't know what to say. Because a lot of times they're just looking straight up and they're like, "Oh my god!" And so kids are often actually pretty quiet. And I'll occasionally hear a kid say like, "Mommy, look how big that guy is," and that's cool. Hopefully it'll make them eat their veggies and finish their plates so that they'll grow big and strong, and it inspires them. But kids are pretty funny a lot of times. Tyler York, is the weather really that different at your height? Yeah, yeah. Well, in terms of it's a lot hotter, because heat rises and that's a major pain. So I would say the weather's probably a little different in some regards. I heard a joke a long time ago about someone who had a tall friend, and anytime someone asked them that, they would spit on their head and tell them that it was raining. So I've never been brave enough to do that, just to spit on somebody, but I do think that it's a pretty funny joke. Um, OFT Crash, are people ever amazed at how well you are able to duck and weave around hanging stuff? My wife is always surprised. Yes, that's a pretty good point actually, because even in doorways that are 10 feet tall, I still duck. Because when you've hit your head enough times, eventually you learn to just kind of naturally duck. And so, yeah, that's people are like, how do you not hit your head on everything? Well, it's because I have hit my head on everything, and I've learned to stop doing that because it sucks. But yeah, that's pretty funny. I have the same experience. Um, on the average day, what challenges do you deal with besides ceiling fans? Um, that's tough. Because not everything is due to height that are challenges. The weight thing is definitely a challenge sometimes as well. From a height standpoint, always back pain. Kind of like OFT was saying earlier, the back pain is real. Sometimes it takes a little while to stand up straight in the morning, lots of stretching and stuff. But that could also just because I'm massively out of shape. And so that could have something to do with that as well. Um, I work from home now, so the struggles that I have aren't quite as bad. So except for low doorways, I've got some doorways in my house that are like 6'8", which is a real pain because occasionally I will forget and hit my head on them. Trying to think. I have a house that the floor is wooden and it's raised off the ground, and so when I walk through it all day, every day, working from home, the floor starts to kind of move quite a bit. And so I think that's more of a weight thing than a height thing. But those are probably a couple struggles that I would say. Tyler York, Jen says you're amazing. Oh, that's very sweet. Tell Jen that I think she's even more amazing. Yeah, well, I appreciate that though. Hope y'all are doing well. It's pretty cool that so many people are willing to spend a little time with me, just hear me yabber on about nonsense. So I appreciate all the questions. We've got a lot going on the rest of this year. We I plan on we're doing a recap of the year like I did last year. Then I also want to do a video just recapping probably my top 5 favorite things that I reviewed this year because there's been some really cool stuff. Um, Oh, OFT crash. That is a very good point. So it's not the doorways so much as those door closing arm things. Absolutely. I have been the victim of those maybe about 4 or 5 times in my life. Those make you learn real quick because like if any for anyone that doesn't know what we're talking about, when you go into like a retail business and they have those glass business doors or just whatever, it has that little elbow on the top that holds the door open and prevents it from um closing too hard or from the wind whipping it open, and those typically hang lower than the doorway. And so when you're not paying attention, that little metal elbow sticking out can catch you right in the head, and that will ruin my day. I tried that'll ruin the whole day if that happens to me. So how was growing up tall? Were you more? I think there's I guess that to finish that, were I guess was I taller than the rest of the kids? So growing up tall was interesting. My my mom likes to share the story of a lady in Walmart who asked her if I was special needs. Oh, were you confident? So my mom had a lady ask her in Walmart if I was special needs because I was a head taller than all the other kids, but I was acting just like them. And so that's probably the only thing that I think startled a lot of people was that you have someone who is way bigger than they look for their age, or way bigger than they should be for their age. Because when I was 12, I was like 6 feet tall, and so people thought it was really strange that why is this person acting so weird, or acting so immature for their size. And so growing up was definitely interesting. And then with the confidence thing, that definitely is tough for a lot of tall people, and it sounds counterintuitive, right? Because you think someone who's a lot larger than a lot of folks would have that kind of confidence. But interestingly enough, I think a lot of the bigger people like that can be kind of a target for, not necessarily bullying, but a target for a lot of a negative attention from other kids. And so it took a while for me to kind of, and football really helped with this, but it took a while for me to kind of feel confident in my own skin. And nowadays I feel great, but I see a lot of tall kids who struggle with that same feeling. And so that's why I want to start interviewing tall people, because I think that a lot of people think that because we're tall and we're gifted with height, that everything's better. But a lot of times it can actually, there's a lot more struggles that come with it. And I want to make sure that, kids are, have someone to look up to, maybe that has the confidence to show them that, be proud of being tall when you're young. It's not a bad thing. And like I said earlier, you do see it a lot with tall younger girls because they feel like they stand out and they don't feel comfortable with their height. And so I've seen that quite a bit as well. Um, so Tyler York, when you were growing up, what sports did you play, and what sports did you wish you played? Um, I was talking about this a little bit earlier. I did a lot of basketball and baseball, but the main sport was obviously football, and played it for 10 years, going into the college level. Now, what sport did I wish that I played? Um, I mean, I love football quite a bit. And I know Tyler will think this is funny. I actually have always been interested in hockey. I'm kind of nervous about hockey because, I can handle the aggression and the hitting in football, but not whenever we're skating 30 miles an hour towards each other. And so that sport has always kind of intimidated me. And I've always had a lot of respect for those who play it, but I've always wanted to play it. I always thought it was interesting because, not only because of the ice skating element, but the fighting and stuff like that. And I like the cold atmosphere, right? Like on a football field, it gets too hot sometimes. You never have to worry about that, in a hockey arena. So, um, David Moritz. So anything happens for the future of the Freaky Tall Reviews family? So that definitely is a loaded question. Yeah, because in a little over 5 weeks, have the first little one on the way. We have a little boy due December 2nd. Jack Michael is going to be his name. And so it's going to make getting videos out in a timely manner very difficult, but it also has given me an opportunity to review things as a tall parent. And so I've got an idea, I've got a stroller that I'm going to be reviewing that I already have. On my tall gift buying guide for tall mothers back in May. I found a changing table that's extra tall, and so that's pretty cool too. But yeah, so first time parents coming up this December. It's gonna be pretty wild. Um, Cherie, were you outgoing as a kid or struggled with the differences? Um, I would say I was fairly outgoing. I don't know if I necessarily had a temper, but I could go hot and cold pretty quick. I think that's just a normal kind of kid thing. I think that it took a while for me to get to the point where I was probably a lot more outgoing, because I think I'm also just kind of introverted. I'm extroverted around the people that I'm very comfortable with, but very introverted when it comes to meeting new people. And so I think part of that could have been just because always standing out and being taller than everyone else. It's just easier if I let them come talk to me, because I feel like it can be intimidating if I go talk to them for them. And I know that sounds weird, but I've definitely seen people become uncomfortable as I approach them so much larger than them and talk to them. Um, do you hope any future children, or Josh, inertia is not a tall person's friend? It's absolutely not. Do you hope that any future children you may have will be tall like you? Uh, so it's funny. I've talked a lot about this because I think that 6'4" to 6'5" is really the perfect height. Um, I've been those heights, in my past. I've seen what they were like whenever I was a freshman and sophomore in high school, and it was a pretty good height. But now that I've gotten past that, I'm no longer playing sports. Outside of what it's done for this channel, I don't think anything over 6'5" is really necessary. So I don't think the kiddo is going to be as tall as I am. I think he might be around 6'4" to 6'5", and like I said, which I think is an absolute perfect height. Will you be reviewing any more workout equipment? Yes. I plan to as I come across stuff. Really, a lot of that is just budget. I think my wife can attest to me not being the most on top of using the workout equipment that I do purchase. And so it's hard for me to justify purchasing something, especially now that I sold my home gym and have a gym membership. It's hard for me to justify getting any new workout equipment. So I've got to figure out how to do that and what people would be interested in. But I do plan on expanding workout equipment. That's for sure. So let's see, David. Yeah, I don't think you meant sponsors and such. I don't believe that. Mr. Isaac, WSP. What does that stand for? I can't tell you off the top of my head. I know what that means, but feel free to elaborate because I can't think of it off the top of my head. Tyler York, when did you hit your first growth spurt? And did you have growing pains growing up? So I had a lot of growing pains when I was around 8th grade. And so my knees were hurting quite badly, but for the most part, I never really had a spurt. I was always just taller than everyone else and kind of stayed that way. I just grew faster. Oh, Mr. Isaac, what's up? My bad. What's up, man? I should have known that. So yeah, I've always been just kind of a head taller than everyone else. And so not really ever a time where I was the same height and just shot up. Yeah. So OFT crash. By the way, thanks for the ice cream scoop review. Got it for Christmas and love it. Very glad you love the midnight scoop. That is one of last year's. That's one of my top items that I reviewed last year. I love that thing. It's a perfect Christmas gift because it's one of those things that it's a little too expensive to buy yourself, right? Like who's going to spend $35 on an ice cream scoop? And once you have it in your hand, you're like, this thing's actually worth it. But it's a perfect gift because it's right in that range where it's affordable to buy somebody and they're going to appreciate it. So keep an eye on the channel because coming up pretty soon, that same company is coming out with another product that is really great for big hands, and I'm going to be reviewing that as well. I pre-ordered it from Kickstarter, and I don't want to spoil it just yet, but you'll see a video on it pretty soon. That is going to be another item in the kitchen that is just comfortable for big hands. So stay tuned for that. Make sure to turn on the notification button so that you can see whenever that video comes out. So Shri, thanks so much for stopping by. Really appreciate the questions. And yeah, I will try to keep up with the awesomeness. The channel precedes me. So thank you for stopping by. And it was definitely good to hear from you. Matt Edge, ever think about doing cars for big guys to fit into? Absolutely. So I was chatting about this a little bit earlier, and vehicles are definitely an area of interest for me. Whether it be cars or trucks or whatever, it is just difficult to find a consistent volume of vehicles to go and review. I need to partner with some dealers or something like that. But that is an area I think a lot of people are very interested in, because especially a lot of what I tried to do whenever I reviewed my truck video, which is the only vehicle I've done, I tried to touch on things that a lot of people don't think about. One of the primary things was whenever you are using the brake and you have a really big shoe, how much room do you have to press the brake and move your feet around amongst the pedals? Because a lot of times you don't have room for that. And then also a lot of people have really tall kids. Is there room in the back seat for these kids? And so, or just people that they know that are tall. And so I do plan on expanding into more vehicles for sure. David got one from his son. It's awesome. That's good, man. The Tiz, hello, my friend. That is the Tiz is definitely someone who's been around the channel for a good while and is usually one of the first commenters on each one of the videos that goes live. So thank you for the support over the last year and a half, Tiz, and it's good to see you, my friend. Let's see. Would you ever think about doing reviews for hikes or trails, outdoor adventures, more along travel, but things like that? Also, what are some places on your travel bucket list? Yes, hiking is something that I definitely want to get more into. You know, partly because I really enjoy hiking, partly because I've seen a lot of my videos around hiking equipment have gotten a lot of interest, and I think there's a lot of tall people out there that are very interested in expanding on that. And so I do have I've got some trekking poles that I plan on reviewing pretty soon. I've already done some boots and a hiking pack and a couple other things. I have a 7 foot long fold out cot that I need to review as well. That's high weight capacity. So um there's as far as products, that's definitely stuff I want to review more. I've not thought about reviewing trails, only because I don't know how to tie it into a big and tall perspective. That's one thing that I try to really make sure with these videos is that it's somewhat big and tall related. And so I'll have to think on that. But places that I want to travel on my bucket list, um well, there's places that I've been that I want to go back to and hike, like Oregon. Love Oregon. Probably the best woods I've ever seen in my life. Love Colorado. I do absolutely want to go to Canada. I want to go to Banff, both in the summer and the winter, and check that place out. And so there's a lot of places that I'd like to go, United States and Canada, for the most part. And then also I do want to go over, and I would love to go hiking in the Netherlands or somewhere over in Scandinavia. So got plans for that as well. Um, Tiz, thanks so much on the compliment for the intros. I've put a lot of effort into learning how to become a better videographer and content creator. So it's nice to see that the work is being appreciated. So, Josh, please go to Japan. I plan to. Actually, I really want to. I want to stay in one of those micro hotels and see, what that's like. It looks extremely uncomfortable and claustrophobic, but I feel like people need to see that. Matt Edge, I appreciate it, my friend. Thank you so much for the love, and I absolutely will keep it up. Definitely working on getting more videos out soon. See the Tiz. I had a 6'7" teacher in middle school who had to sleep diagonal in a tent during a school camping trip. I have done that myself as well. Maybe rating how much foliage you have to duck under or move out of the way from your sight as you walk through. That's along those same lines. There's definitely a lot of branches that have whipped me in the face as I'm walking. That's a real pain. Also, spider webs. Here's one of the biggest problems with hiking as a tall person. I could go down a trail that 1,000 people have hiked down earlier that day, but most of the time they're not as tall as me, and spiders like to stretch their webs across the trails quite a bit. And so I've caught so many spider webs to the face walking down trails like that because they weren't cleared out from the people in front of me. It's a major pain. So I need to find something that keeps spider webs off the face. I think that would be a good thing for tall people. Matt Edge, what kind of bed did you have? Did you have to go with the California King for the length? Yes, I do have a California King Tempur-Pedic bed, and honestly, it's actually still not quite long enough for me. But I don't think I really have an option. I don't think they make much longer beds than that. But yeah, Cal King is definitely a must at this height. So I would highly recommend Cal Kings. That's probably something I should do a video on as well. Wouldn't be able to close the door at the hotel. I want to see those micro hotels in Japan in person. I really, really want to see them. I think it's really interesting. Let's see. Tyler York, awesome. Well, there's always an open invite to Calgary and Denver. Keep on doing the things with Freaky Tall. Excited to see where you take it. Well, I appreciate it, my friend. I appreciate the love. Definitely want to go back to Denver and would love to visit Calgary. I just need a guide if you know anyone local. So let's set that up. Yeah, spider webs in the beard for sure. Because the thing about a spider web, when you walk into it with your face, I mean, you don't know if there was a spider on there because you usually don't see it in the first place. And so then you have to do the whole jump around and try to brush it off you and make sure there's not a spider on you. And yeah, it's just a pain. Alex Bellini. Yeah, Tyler recognized my intros are getting better. I appreciate it. Yeah, as I was saying earlier, everybody, Alex actually helped me a lot with the growth of this channel and making the quality of the content better. And so, if you enjoy the quality of the channel and where it's progressed to, definitely say thank you to Alex because he's been a huge asset in that department. And so he's also completely the one responsible for me overbuying on all the gear. So you see these backdrops and all this expensive stuff that I purchased for the channel is completely Alex's fault. So completely, blame him. But the quality has gotten better. So I heard Porsche is popular with NBA players, and they've been made more spacious. Really, I did not know that. I wouldn't have thought that Porsches would be super comfortable, so I'll have to check that out. So the problem with cars is, there's on one side of it, there's sitting in it and how comfortable it is to drive and sit in it for a long time, and then there's getting in and out of it. So it really depends on how you're going to use it. If you know you're going to be in there for a long time, maybe it's not such a big deal to get in and out of it and it's sitting real low to the ground. But if it's a daily driver where you're going to a couple different stores and you got to basically squat down on the ground every time you get in your car, that's a major pain. But that's very interesting, and I'm very curious to learn more about that. Coach K, what's up, my friend? Thank you for stopping by. It's good to see you. And you ordered the caster wheels. Thank you for that. For those that are wondering what he's talking about, I reviewed these wheels. I showed them earlier a couple of weeks ago. So those are one of my favorite items that I've found this year, and I highly recommend checking out that video and ordering some for yourself. Cameron Brennan, I recently saw your video on chairs. I think these products could use a follow-up video for later down the road. How do the products, not just chairs, do over time? So that's a great question, Cameron. And I was kind of chatting about that a little bit earlier. With this chair specifically, I definitely will be doing a follow-up video. But that's something that I hadn't really thought too much about, is looking at the longevity of the products and how they've held up. A lot of what I review has been pretty good quality so far, and I haven't had a lot of complaints about quality, but it's something that I definitely want to start looking more into, because I'm sure a lot of people are curious about. So if there's anything you're curious about specifically on how it's held up since I reviewed it, would love for you to leave a comment here or somewhere else where I can swing back around with another video, because there's already a couple in mind that I'm thinking of that I'd like to bring back to the audience. So Alex is not my brother. He's just a good friend of mine. We actually used to work together at the same company, but now we're just friends, if he'll claim me. But we just found a common interest with we both like to create content, so there's that, and we both hate Aaron Rodgers on the Packers, and so we just immediately connected. Cool. Carry a tennis racket in front of me. That would be great, but it wouldn't do so great with ultralight camping. Where you're worried about weight and stuff, but I could definitely try it. Definitely your fault, Alex. Definitely your fault. Yes, sir. Yeah, I knew that was you, Mark. I was just calling you Coach K from your screen name. See, German cars in general have more leg and headroom. Even my wife's Mini wasn't bad. Interesting. Okay, that's good to know. So with VW, I don't think they're not manufactured in Germany anymore, right? So I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I wonder if that would affect the size of the people riding in them. But that's definitely good to know. Mark, I will say this: Tuesdays and Wednesdays are fantastic whiskey nights. We may not be able to go, as hard as we've done in the past, but definitely let's get those on the calendar and let's have some whiskey. And yes, let's go Astros. Alex Bleedy, you can't hate me, man. A-Rod is definitely a GOAT, but he's not the GOAT. Tom Brady. All righty. Well, this has been great. I'm going to be on for the next 2 minutes. Once we get to the hour mark, I'm going to go ahead and shut down. So if anybody has some last minute questions, feel free to throw them in the chat and, let's talk through them. This has been really fun. I wish I could see who all is in here. I can see who all is chatting, but I can't see who all is currently watching. The tallest person you've met through this channel. I haven't really met a ton of people through the channel. Jordan Smith, who is the owner of the Elevated Closet, she played in the WNBA, and I did an interview on her on a past video. She is 6'4", which is pretty tall for a lady, and so I've met a couple other people probably that are around the 6'5" range. Mainly the people that would be watching the video are really tall. I've had some people come in that are in the mid 7-foot range, which is interesting because those people, once you surpass like 7 six, I think it is, you start getting listed on the Wikipedia page for the tallest people in the world. And so you can actually see people's names on there. And I think that's pretty interesting. And those people make me feel very tiny, very tiny. I don't know why it keeps disconnecting the chat. That's really weird. Hmm. Keeps disconnecting then reconnecting. I can't tell if the people past 7 foot are real. I can't either. I don't think I've ever actually seen one in person, to be honest. Yeah, appreciate the help with the tennis racket there, David. Hey, Mark, thank you for stopping by, my friend. Let's definitely do the whiskey thing soon. And hey, if anyone is, I think everyone should go check out ID Sketching with Coach K. That's who Mark is, and I'm talking to you right now. He has a fantastic channel where he teaches how to. Gosh, I'm going to totally butcher this because I don't understand his business, but he teaches basically how to draw products in a way that they can be manufactured. But check his channel out. And subscribe to it and check his content out because he's got some really good stuff, and he can totally correct me right now on a better way to explain what he does. um Absolutely, my friend, absolutely. When are we playing on Switch? Anytime, man. I actually, speaking of the Switch, I actually have a review coming up pretty soon. I found a really good grip for big hands, and so I'll be reviewing that pretty soon as part of Freaky Tech Reviews. So alrighty. Absolutely. So, alrighty. Well, everybody, it has been the hour mark. This has been a fantastic experience, and I've really had a good time chatting with everybody and getting to know everybody. Well, I say getting to know everybody a little better, but people have really been just kind of hearing me yabber on about me. Um, Oh, more Halloween videos for sure. This year I wasn't able to work on costumes. That's the only reason I wasn't able to get a video out. But I absolutely plan to do a follow-up video to that to 5 more costumes for tall people. The problem is now I just got to think about what costumes actually make sense. I can't reuse the Michael Myers mask. That's the one I wore in the video. So I got to come up with new costumes. But yes, Halloween is my absolute favorite time of year and holiday. And so yeah, that's something that we'll definitely have more of. So happy Harbor. Thank you so much for enjoying the content, my friend, and go Astros. We are in the World Series, so let's get it. So, all right, everybody. Well, thank you so much for stopping by. Be sure if you haven't already to subscribe to the channel, click the like button and the notification icon so you see when new videos come out. I really enjoyed this, and I definitely want to chat more with more people soon. So I'll do another live session at some point in the future if people are interested in it. But yeah, thank you so much for your time and for being supporters of the channel. And feel free to leave me some comments on what you want to see reviewed and what you want to see me follow up do follow-up reviews on, excuse me. So definitely drop those comments below. But hope everyone has a fantastic rest of your Tuesday evening. And thank you for spending it with me. So I appreciate everyone's time, and we'll see you later. So have a good one, everybody. Bye.